Relay Radio. I'm your host, Derek Dreyer. To my right is my co-host, Daniel Hong. We will be lighting the torch of knowledge to bring you exhilarating insights, expert tips, and inspiring stories.
Awesome. Immerse yourself in the world of business, entrepreneurship, and life as we pass the baton of knowledge, empowering you to sprint towards greatness.
Today's guest has been by my side for 12 years. After graduating from the University of Texas at A&M at San Antonio, she went on to teaching in Katy Independent School District, head soccer coach at Morton Ranch. She got her graduate degree from U of H in, administration and leadership. Went on after left teaching to become the GM of Alphalete Gym, where she turned a failing gym into a profitable gym. From there, she found her passion for event planning and now is the owner of Dreyer Events, plans bodybuilding shows, corporate events, lots of events, wine expert, boxer lover. She's my wife, Ashley Dreyer.
Hi.
How was your intro? Did I mess it up?
You did.
It was from the heart.
I was reading because Austin wrote it. I should have wrote it.
Yeah.
And I was trying to make it. I was trying to spice it up a little bit.
Oh, only thing you missed is that I started teaching in Northside, in ISD. So
I wasn't going to give your whole resume.
Well, okay, great.
Just a summary.
You could have just said I was a teacher for 10 years.
You're a teacher for 10 years. There you go.
Coach for 9.
All right, you ready for the warm-up trivia?
Yeah.
I don't have to explain the podcast because you should.
Do you watch our podcast?
I do watch the podcast.
Because you're forced to?
No, I actually like to watch it. I don't like to listen to podcasts. I actually prefer to watch them.
So you only watched the one. You only watched our recent one with JC.
Oh,
no, I watched Kayla. I watched.
Oh, she only watches people she likes. Yeah.
The tall guy.
Leo. That was a good podcast. That was a really good podcast.
I watched Max. I
don't even know if Max watched Max's podcast. He was like on a trip when we told him. But yeah. Max, you better. Hopefully you're watching.
Ready? Are you ready for your warm up?
Yeah. Okay.
All right. 30 seconds on the clock. Ready?
Yeah. Go.
How much wine is in a standard bottle?
140.
80?
I don't know.
Which dogs were
four glasses?
Yeah. No, I need the milliliters. Which dogs were the first breeds to be police dogs?
It's 24. I don't know. German Shepherds?
Largest U.S. city.
Oh, I have no clue. Pass.
What's the worst penalty you can get in soccer?
A red card for hitting a goalie?
Who's on the penalty?
Time.
Yeah. I don't know.
Abe Lincoln.
So you got red card. That was the only one you got right.
Oh, it was Abe Lincoln. Nice.
So it's 24 liters.
750 milliliters.
Oh,
24 liters in a wine bottle? Jesus.
I'm sorry, 6 ounces.
That's how much she
Bro,
drinks.
that's
6,
like
12, 18, 24 is like a good glass of wine.
You know, like those 2-liter Pepsi bottles? That'd be 12 of those.
I don't
I
math.
said, how much wine is in a bottle?
I don't know.
750 milliliters. You should
wow.
know that.
I should know.
Yeah, 750.
Right.
It's like a bottle of. Yeah. I didn't even know that, actually.
You're going to ask me about grapes?
The answer was boxer, obviously.
Really?
They were the very first police dogs.
Should have known that.
I imagine Avo being a police dog.
Just like runs off.
I could. He's a fucking dick. Largest U.S. city is New York City.
Oh, really?
Whoa.
Largest.
Like square meters?
Quantity
Square miles?
of people or?
Look,
Yeah.
I don't make the questions. You gotta ask us.
I don't think the largest city. I think
maybe the largest population.
Houston is bigger than New York City.
It's probably the densest, population.
Densest population,
Yeah.
I would.
Population density.
Actually, wait. I thought. Oh, densest like per square mile, like most 100.
I don't know how he.
Yeah.
I don't know how
Okay.
he.
Also, you need to reevaluate that because I think it's L.A. is the largest city in
Well, you got one right.
Houston.
I didn't come up with the
The
questions.
red card.
She was like, "You better only ask me questions about you."
No, I said. Oh yeah, I said it would be funny for him to ask me questions about him, like to see how much I actually.
This
I pay
podcast is
attention.
No, this podcast is not just you and him. I'm here too.
Would have been funny. Okay, I got
It's not
one
a
right.
Dreyer
That's
podcast.
Yeah, this isn't our couples podcast.
Yeah.
We're gonna bring it back.
Okay, well let's start the first leg. Let's talk about your personal life a little bit. obviously I know every single thing about you, but some people don't.
Yep.
Born and raised in San Antonio.
Yes. Was that a question? Born and raised in San Antonio. I have one younger sister that I grew up with, and then I met my baby sister when I was 15. So I have two sisters.
That's
grew up-
Jordan.
You
Jordan.
said met like you didn't know her before, but she was born
She
when
was
you were
born.
15.
Right.
Yeah.
Correct. Sorry.
You made it seem like she was
She's
like
a baby.
lost.
She just turned 21. She's a baby. Lost. When I was 7 years old, I became a one-parent household. My dad, left my mom. So for the remainder up until I was 18, I lived in a single parent house. My mom raised two kids. And so I was able to see like just how hard you have to work to be successful. And, even to this day, I can't even imagine how my mom raised two children, like watching Jess and watching you with your three kids, and y'all are a team. I always think about like my mom being by herself.
Yeah.
And so my dad was in my life though, and he was a manager and he ran restaurants, and just seeing him be so ambitious and such a leader, that kind of molded me as well. So I started working when I was 15, and I realized that I loved training and teaching and coaching. I became a lifeguard instructor at SeaWorld, and I ran the entire training department. I would train all of the animal trainers, like first aid and CPR. Am I supposed to look at the camera or look at y'all? Where do I look?
Look at
Just
us.
talk.
Oh.
Yeah, don't look at the
It's a
camera.
normal conversation.
And then
You only look at the camera if you're making like a valid point that you want us to make a reel out of. Like
Yeah.
you're dropping some knowledge and shit.
okay.
Like some guru shit.
So I was in school the whole time as well. I got my bachelor's degree in English, and I kind of sat there like, what am I going to do? And so like training and developing this program when I was, 20, 19, realized that I'm really great at organization and really good at standing up in front of people and talking to people and kind of guiding them and teaching. So I was like, I guess I'm going to be a teacher. So I was 22 and I was teaching 16, 17-year-olds in high school when I first started teaching, and it was scary. And then I was coaching cheer and dance of 90 girls, and that was scary too. I was like, okay, well, I guess they're going to listen to me. And my first couple years of teaching, like, I didn't smile at all. Like, I tried not to be nice because, like, people are always like, oh, well, this teacher is flirting with the kids, or like these ugly stories. So I was just straight and narrow for a really long time. I loved coaching. So I realized that I was really great at it. I loved talking with girls, and I loved, trying to mold them into respectful and responsible. And I would go to their classrooms whenever they were acting up, and I'd sit there, and if they were making out with their boyfriends, I would discipline all 90 of them and watch that one girl, like have that one girl watch all of them, and like
Have all that
Hardcore.
the whole class watch that girl make out?
No.
Oh.
no. So
No, she would
let's
make
say
the
if
whole team run, but that girl who was making out with her boyfriend would watch the team. So the whole team would be pissed off at her for like getting them in trouble.
So
Like,
they'd
all
all
of y'all-
make out with her after then.
Oh, no, absolutely not. And I was,
Totally what
I
happened.
tried to be such a role model. So even when Derek would come around and he would try and hug me, I'd be like, don't touch me. Like, we're not doing that
Yeah,
at all.
that's important.
Yeah, so I always
that
tried
wasn't just around her girls too. That's treatment I get at home too.
Constant.
whatever.
Yeah, bro,
Just kidding.
PDA. Y'all doing that PDA.
So after 2 years, I also built that cheer and dance program from the ground up because it was a brand new high school. So once again, like I realized I love organizing and structure and getting everything situated and seeing kind of like we went to competitions and we like swept the whole thing and did amazing. And then in 2 years, Derek was like graduating from college and said, hey, I'm moving to Houston. Do you want to come? And I was like, what? My career's in San Antonio. What do you mean? And I was like, all right, well, I guess if we don't work out, then I'll move back.
Yeah.
So
I feel like when you're, I guess going back to like your age, I feel like when you're in high school and you're like, you know, no matter how old someone is that is older than you and they're like a staff at the school, like 5 years, like you're 5 years older than these 17-year-olds, 5 years seems like really far away from them. Because I remember when I was like younger, like when I was 16 and I saw someone that was like, can legally buy alcohol. It's like, oh my God, it looks like they're light years ahead of me. So I feel like age wasn't always an important thing, but what was important is like what you were trying to go by, which is like authoritative figure, not smiling, just being like a typical like mean teacher, which is like pretty important. I think not just for them, but like also for yourself.
Hard ass.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also like, and even to the rest of my years of teaching and even now, like being in a leadership position, it's not so much of like being a bitch all the time. It's just setting those standards and setting those rules and accountabilities for people that, why are you laughing?
Being a what? It's not about being a what?
Stop. I don't allow him to say bitch in any way, shape, or form towards
What?
It's just holding them accountable and pretty much laying out like rules from day one.
Yeah.
Very black and white. And you follow these and we'll have a great relationship. If not, I'm going to step in and let you know like what you messed up on, how you're going to fix it, and make it clear that like we're having this conversation and the next time, you know, you're in trouble.
It wasn't just teaching that you were like that. You were like that at SeaWorld too when you were my boss. You always were like the strict rule implementer.
Follower, yeah.
It's a personality thing too, right?
But teaching, you said, okay, well, I guess I'm just going to go into teaching. So that wasn't really like your passion or like what you really wanted to do.
I mean,
is that you just didn't really know?
I didn't know. Like, it was never, I just knew that I had to work hard. You know, like my mom didn't have a lot of money and I don't think my dad either. And all they would tell me is like, you're going to college. You have to go to college. But it wasn't like my mom worked at Southwestern Bell, but then they transferred to AT&T. You know, she worked in a building and I never knew what she did. She just she started as like a phone like operator. Like you'd call and be like, oh, can you connect me to Daniel Hong? And then she would connect the person. So she started there.
I also feel like when you going back into teaching, like when you're that young, I would say probably 90% or more of people, like they don't know what they want to do in their life, but like everything, teaching was like almost like a stepping stone for like the development of your personal growth, which is like teaching was a step into the leadership position. And then now obviously what you're doing now, which we'll go over later, but like it has allowed you to experiment like, okay, cool, I can lead these people. They're following me. It's almost like a business. You're like a president of a corporation or like you're CEO of a corporation where kind of everybody's coming to you.
Yeah.
Everything is run, in my opinion, like everything is run in life like a business, whether it's a family, whether it is an actual business or just like a teacher. I mean, it's like a leadership position.
I mean, I say all the time, like, and then when I talk to teachers and they're not happy, I'm like, at the end of the day, teachers can do absolutely anything. We are thrown into the worst possible situations. Like if you can handle your classroom, like for me, it was like I had one class of 35 boys and it was before they brought in one girl. So it was just a whole bunch of football players. It was 8th period. And I was just like,
oh, everybody's already checked out.
I'm like, how are they going to listen to me?
Yeah.
But for me, it's like if you get people to buy into you and you get people to trust you and know that you have their well-being in mind always, and you don't play favoritism and like you literally are fair with everybody, like I could get my kids to do anything. Like I remember reading a book one day and they were bored and I was like, all right, everybody, let's stand on our desks. Probably wasn't safe, but everyone like stood on their desks, or we would go outside and do an activity. Like it just, my kids like trusted me and my girls trusted me and my soccer girls trusted me. And I just always did everything with them. And I built that relationship. Like I think relationships are so important. So
you ever seen that movie, Stand and Deliver?
Yeah.
That's what it reminds me of.
Yeah.
Those situations when they're like in the hood, whatever, but you've seen it, so I don't need to tell you. Where do you think like this, like trait of being a leader or like leading groups of people came from, like your mom or your dad?
My dad.
Your dad.
My mom never wanted to be a leader ever.
So I think yeah, it came from your dad, like just seeing him like run and open up restaurants your whole life. But I think also your mom really instilled like the independence aspect of like hardworking independence as well. So I think like both of those combined really is
Yeah, for sure. Like when I was younger, we would go to my dad's restaurant and I would just sit there for hours and watch him interact with people. And that started from like 5 all the way until 13, 14 when I didn't really want to go hang out with him, you know, on the weekends and stuff anymore.
I think even to this day though, just seeing how he interacts and works like is still very
And then my mom, growing up with her, like, and Derek and I had to go through this of like, she was like, you don't need anybody. You get through life with yourself only. You make enough money so you don't need a single person in life. Like you do what you have to do to be successful. So you never have to rely on anybody. And like, that was something that Derek and I had to work through because I was like, I don't need you. Like, I remember we were fighting one day and I was like, I don't need you.
I don't need no fucking man.
I feel like
I don't need no man.
So maybe we'll go through this in the business side. We can address it now, but like whether you run your own business or you work for someone, you're always relying on someone. If you think about it from that perspective, like if you have your business, you're relying on your customers.
Yeah.
Right. So like
I'm thinking about it from like a personal perspective.
Okay.
Right. No,
business. Well, that makes sense.
Business for sure. Like I will never say I can run a business by myself. Like I need people in
no,
that standpoint.
So from the operational standpoint, yes, but also from like the keeping the business alive perspective, like you're relying on like the client's business, like our fulfillment center, right? If the clients that we have don't do well, we won't do well.
No, for
So
sure.
it sucks, right?
I mean, I plan events for a living. Like I need.
Yeah, you need them to do well. Exactly. So,
I need people to want to plan events. No, but it's very personal. Like, yeah.
What do you think? Because I feel like statistically speaking, like families who were separated, like their moms and dads were separated, like normally the kid would have a lot of bad traits about him, or would go down a wrong path, and they would really attribute a lot of the bad from the parents into their lives because they're using that almost as a numbing mechanism or like a coping. Do you think like you've obviously extracted the good from both parents, right? The independence from your mom and the leadership from your dad. Like, do you think you extracted any bad from either side?
Yeah.
What would that?
I have really bad trust issues.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you just gave.
That's actually not a bad thing.
I think you just gave the example with what we were dealing with you always being independent and your mom saying that you don't need people.
Yeah.
That.
But I guess you're right. The trust.
And the trust goes beyond just our relationship, like trusting people. Like honestly, I don't
feel like that's a bad thing though. I feel like as you're getting older, it's better because like your circle gets smaller because you're finding a great or better way to just filter out people. But in the beginning, like if you're maybe when you're younger and you feel alone, like the trust issues can probably hurt you.
I think it's just you're cautious, right? You're cautious with people and relationships and letting people in.
Yeah, but going back to what Daniel said, like, like when I was younger, even to now, like, I think I don't even think I met you before my mom passed away.
No, I met you in 15.
Yeah, you met. Anyway, so before my mom passed away, I was very, like, I was even worse than I am now, like, as far as, like, being a hard, like, person and trusting people. And now after she's passed away, like going through the trauma of that, like I care about people so much more that are like
you're more wise,
close to me.
Yeah.
You just value your time with people more.
Yeah. But then I'm even more cautious now because then it's like, why am I going to give part of my life to you when, you don't even care about me?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I think another thing to answer the question that you just asked her, like, about, extracting the bad traits or experiences. I think Ash and I, from both of our upbringings, like we weren't in great situations, but I think we took the situations we were in and like looked and didn't want to go that same path, right?
Yeah, you didn't
like
want to
said,
repeat it.
right?
Yeah.
You said a lot of people go down the safe path or dark path, but I think we like were very observant of the positions we were in and like did the opposite, or like we did not want to be like our parents or do the things that our parents were doing. So we kind of like
Also, like having a good
felt
partner helps you maybe realize that too, right? Like a lot of these people who go down these wrong paths, they're most likely alone, or they have a toxic partner that kind of like enhances that feature. But like if you have a good balanced partner, they will always like, hey, like you're acting like that person again, like relax, you know what I mean? I mean, I feel like everybody is just a spitting mirror image of their parents, but like whether it's like 50-50, 60-40, like you don't know, in my opinion, until you get older.
Yeah.
Because you're wiser to be able to like elaborate, okay, well, damn, I am like my dad, or because you know what I mean? Like,
no, yeah, there's so many times I would like all the time. I'm like, oh my God, I just sound like my mother.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
so,
yeah.
And I was still, I mean, my mom passed away 8 years ago, I think. And I was still very much like we were still fighting.
Yeah.
Like, I was still pretty young and trying to figure out being an adult. And it's like, I never really got to experience with her, like calling her and being like, I just sounded like you today.
Yeah.
Like I'm becoming more and more like you. So that's one thing that like upsets me a little bit.
Yeah. You don't know these things until you get older, and like you actually, because like I think I said it last podcast, like life is a cycle, right? Like you are born, you're a baby, and then you're super dependent on your family, and then you get older and you kind of like move away, you're independent, and then eventually like you'll go back to your family, and then they'll come back to you, and it's just like a repeat cycle. So then you go through all these life cycles where you're like, damn, I fucked up, or shit, life is really short, because maybe you have a family of your own, or you have a partner and you grow a family, or whatever that may look like. You start to see things very differently.
That's why we're so close to your family, since you're having all these kids.
Yeah.
Maybe one of them will take care of Derek and I.
Yeah.
no.
Or the opposite.
We're gonna be in a retirement home.
Yeah.
That sounds fucking terrible. But we can you want to go into the second leg?
Yeah, we can talk about a little bit of social media stuff now. Get past all the heavy stuff over
God,
here.
y'all, I know. I'm about to cry. Let's
What?
move on.
So,
media.
social media is how we met Daniel, and we kind of came into that world together.
Oh yeah, I remember.
We
seeing
actually
Daniel for
had-
the first time. I was like, "Who the fuck is this?"
So
guy?
when I graduated college is when Instagram was kind of coming out, and we were like, and we had just started dating. We've been dating for like a year when Instagram was popping off. So we were like, oh, let's make an Instagram together.
Damn, that sounds toxic.
Yeah.
What?
It wasn't in a
Made a
toxic
joint one.
sense. It was more like we're just gonna post about our relationship.
Oh, yeah.
I don't even know why, but we were just like, let's make a joint Instagram and just post
Yeah.
photos.
Yeah.
So for like the first year of Instagram, it was just both of us.
Yeah.
And then I think after we kind of were around Alpha Lead a little bit is when we kind of separated it into our own
Independent like accounts and identities within social media. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, at first when Instagram came out, it was like, post a photo, put a weird filter.
Mm-hmm.
Here you go.
A million hashtags. Yeah. Yeah. So like with social media, I would say like we all came up together in social media, but
I did
like
it all. Podcast,
Yeah.
YouTube,
okay, so
Instagram.
Yeah, we did Instagram, YouTube.
Sorry, go ahead.
but I think like you guys were a medium, right? Like you didn't care to be so much in the spotlight, but then you had your own thing to grow your social media, but then it's like you had to be in the spotlight because of the business that we were all incorporated in. So like what do you think is the importance of like your self-identity on social media? And then we'll talk about like the realities of it later, but like what do you think are like the importance of self-identity? Because now it has helped you blossom. You don't know some things that you don't know that you're doing. It may not pay off until like a year or 7 years or 10 years, right? So like everything you've done in social media has led up to like this moment. But what do you think like Ashley Dreyer, like the importance of your identity on social media was?
I think like just being as real as possible and just posting my life. Like I think there was I think because we've been around so many people that have, on Instagram and YouTube, like they just like turn something on, or like they will never post certain things, or they'll only post certain things. And I don't think I ever went through that oh, I take it back. When I was teaching, I didn't ever post it like cussing. I didn't ever post about alcohol because, my students could see my stuff. So I still tried to hold me on a high standard on social media. But other than that, like I just always like to post things that are fun for me.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that like held you back a little bit? Like
Yeah.
not being able to post your entire life?
Oh, from teaching?
Mm-hmm.
No, because like if we were at a bar or something, I would just put a drink down and then take a photo and then post it. So no, not really.
It could have made you viral, to be honest, if you were.
I could have been fired.
Well,
No, she just posted about. She posted a photo the other day. She had posted like a bikini photo of her, like Danae.
Oh, I saw you talk about that.
Yeah.
And a mom like complained about it.
No,
to the
not a
school.
mom, a teacher.
Oh, a teacher complained about it.
Teacher complained, got called in the administration office. I was like, what's going on? They're like, well, we just, a teacher complained that you are posting photos on Instagram. And I was like, well.
But now they're
yeah,
selling
but
pussy online,
what-
so that's
but what
okay. It's
photo?
okay now.
And it was just us in a bikinis. And I was like, is it because I'm like fit that I'm getting in trouble for this?
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, can you take it down? And I was like, no,
Yeah.
I'm not doing anything wrong.
Right.
You know what's
You're living your life.
Yeah.
what I meant by like saying you could have gone viral was like there's a lot of people that have gone viral from like their industries. Like I'll use Nick Bear for example, right? When he was in the Army, he was always posting like a day in the life, right? And it wouldn't really show like what he did in the Army. He would just kind of be in his like room and talking about the basic
Same.
training and things like that. So like I feel like, I mean, we would never know now, right? Like you could have gone viral if you're like life as a teacher, like vlogging it,
Yeah.
but not showing like the classroom or
Yeah.
just showing it, right? Here's how I decorated my classroom, or here's how I get ready as a teacher. But we'll never know that. But but yeah, the bikini, now people are selling pussy online. So and then you have teachers blowing everybody in the class.
So I think
it's
like,
kind of funny.
to speak on that a little bit is like social media is so developed now that there's like fine niches for everything. Right now there are teacher specific pages where they're talking about daily life of teachers and like
So well
so
accepted now.
like you definitely could have gone that route, but I don't think people were like in the mindset of like, let me create this very narrow niche of like what I do on a specific day to day.
Well,
You're just like, oh, we're just posting our life.
Mine wasn't like, I'm a teacher, let me post about it. Mine
Yeah.
was, I like fitness. I like lifting weights. I like going to the gym. I was competing in bodybuilding at the time. So I was just posting my food and recipes.
Yeah, that was our life.
Yeah, that was our life.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, and by the way, I'm a teacher too.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like, I didn't
By the
ever
way.
really post about it.
Yeah. We're definitely like, because I remember we were like the one group coming up in social media that was actually showing eating a pizza or like going out to a restaurant or in a bar, that, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like we were the first group of people in the fitness realm that actually did it, because before that it was like not widely accepted. It was like if you were a fitness person, you only could show yourself in the gym and eating chicken and rice, and everything else was frowned upon. No alcohol. So like I mean, we've talked about this a lot, but like the OG days of like where we started from really helped develop the fitness community. Even though you and like people like you, like the three of us, were not in the spotlight all the time. It was more so like Christian was in the spotlight, or Nikki was in the spotlight, or now it's Heidi in the spotlight. You know what I mean? Like it's more so like those people that were in the spotlight rather than us. But like seeing like what you're saying, we were so, and still are, we are so surrounded by all these people, it became something that like it is really different with social media and how it has changed so much. So when we talk about like these like smaller niches, like teachers on social media now or whatever it may be,
it was so taboo for us to walk anywhere with our cameras, and I remember all of us used to just vlog everywhere.
Yeah,
like, and I love that. I actually miss YouTube a lot.
Same.
But I think for me it was just a hobby, and that's probably why like I didn't flourish and thrive, because it wasn't my source of income.
Yeah,
I started making a little bit of money on YouTube, and it would like pay for our groceries maybe, which was fine, which was great, because like I had a salary and I had, you know, a little bit of passive income. But I think that if I would have, you know, quit teaching and I was like, I'm gonna do social media full time and be an influencer, then I think I would have been really great at it. But that's not.
You would, and you talked about it a few times, like, should I? Like, I'm scared, I'm nervous.
Right, because we were around it, and I'm like,
yeah, you were like basically
I'm great.
Yeah, you were like, I'm cool too.
I'm fun.
Yeah, but also like doing. I listened to a podcast this morning, and we've said this a million times too. Like, podcasts now is like the new wave of like doing something. Like, we have these conversations. Let's just start a pod. We have all these stories to share. Yeah. Let's just start a podcast. With like what we were doing on social media, and it being just like so hustle culture. We've talked about this in other, I don't remember whose, but it's been so hustle culture of like everyone needs to do something to make money. That's what made, in my opinion, a previous generation of like YouTubers different, because we did it as a hobby. Mm-hmm. And it became something we enjoyed, just showing our lives and enjoying it, just like what we're doing this podcast for. We're not doing this podcast to become the biggest podcast, but we're doing it because we enjoy it. Yeah. And then it, you know, may grow into something good, you know? That's the difference between like social media nowadays.
Right. And now it's like, what can I do to get,
how do I monetize?
How do I go viral? Mm-hmm. Like, that's all that I hear people talk about. Like, oh, how do I make a viral video? And like, I mean, Derek went viral on Instagram like several times.
Yeah, being viral doesn't mean anything.
Doesn't mean anything. Yeah. Right? That's what attributes to like brand deals though, because that's what brands don't see. They just see the numbers, right? So they're like, oh, this guy can sell a lot. But
I probably should have, whenever I was getting millions of views on my reels, But that really didn't translate into a lot of followers or a lot of.
I do remember when we first started gaining following. It was before I hit 10K, and I'd reach out to brands like, "Hey, like, what do I need to do to be sponsored?"
10K was the 100K back then.
No, I know.
Yeah.
And before I had 10K, I remember people saying like, "Well, you at least need 10K."
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And I was like, told Derek, I was like, shit, we're never gonna get.
And then once you got 10K is when you could post links on your stories. Remember that?
Yeah.
But links came way later though.
I remember when I hit 10K.
You had to have 10K to post a link.
I remember when I hit 10K, I did a kneeling photo, like.
What do you mean?
At the old Alpha Lee gym, saying I hit 10K. Photo? It was like.
No,
it was
you
like,
didn't.
Yes, I did. I swear to God. I swear to God. I was like, fucking, because 10K was a big deal.
I know.
You know?
But Daniel also will like try and say like he doesn't care about social media.
No, I love it. I love social media.
And I love it too. I love social media. I love posting. Like Instagram now is so different because, you know, I definitely get less likes than I used to, like when we were, you know, posting all the time, but I still love it. I love posting, and I think I love it because it's not, there's no pressure.
Yeah.
Like I don't get paid from it. I don't do anything. I literally post it because I enjoy it, and the people that my little community that I have, and like the DMs that I have, like I message people all day long, and I love it. It's so fun.
It's just like, I think there's a difference between, and this is how I feel too, right? There's a difference between loving social media and cloud chasing. I think the difference, like what we did was like, we loved what we did. So we just showed everything organically because we love to show it. And it was receptive to build a small community, but everything you build on social media has its like perks, right? So like what you did, and you have your community, I feel like if any one of them had like a big event, they'd call you. They'd be like, hey, like, Ashley, can you plan my event? Because that has kind of blossomed with the community that you've built with your Ask Chat Mondays and things like that.
Oh, I haven't done those in a while.
Yeah, well, but you know what I mean. Like,
what happened to that?
Mondays are really busy for me, but I miss it.
No, I said Food and Wine Wednesday. What happened to that?
Oh, yeah, see.
I know.
But, I mean, it just happens, right? Like, and that's how that's why it's so hard to become really big, like a Mr. Beast on social media, because, or like a Kai Cenat or an Aiden Ross, because these people make it like, people think social media, if you're doing it as a career, is easy.
No, it's
In
not.
my opinion, podcasts, social media is probably one of the hardest industries to actually be very big in.
Mhm.
Because like with people like, I don't know if you know these people, like Aiden Ross, Kai Cenat, they're like Twitch streamers. They were streaming every single day for years. That's how they got to the point where they are now. But people don't see that, right? Like a Mr. Beast, right? His YouTube channels each are worth like billions of dollars. But
Well, yeah.
you know what I mean? So like,
But even Motive, like posting for Motive was hard.
yeah, it
For
was
me,
really, yeah, it
because
was,
it
no, it was,
it
really
was like,
difficult.
we
Yeah.
have to post or,
Yeah.
you know, people aren't
Mhm.
going to see our products. So that turned into a job, and that was
Yeah.
really hard. So
Yeah.
like, it's always easy for me like to go on my Instagram and just post whatever. But then Motive, it's like,
There's a structure.
yeah, it
Yeah,
has
you
to
can't just
be-
film whatever and post it. Yeah.
I wish.
And that's yeah, with like social media nowadays, like it's gotten so like flyby, you know, like a lot of these people kind of come into it, and you probably see it too, but a lot of these people kind of come into the wave. It's become almost like the NFL now, or a professional sports like organization. Only 0.1% or 1% of the actual population become really big
Mm.
and actually make it to the top tier. Because even if you make it to the NBA, you could be a bench warmer for your whole career.
I was interested to hear how
Yeah.
you tied that.
I
into-
watch sports. I watch sports.
I just wanted to
Yeah.
hear the
No.
how to bring it,
But like the analogy,
bring it in.
so
No, it's true.
if we tie it into golf, like there's tens of thousands of professional golf players in PGA, but some of them they're losing money going on tour. So it's just like they're paying their caddy, they're paying all the fees. Like not a lot of people can survive in this industry.
Yeah.
And so like when you're saying like doing it for fun and actually genuinely loving it, you can actually get decently well off and do it. Like I was making good money. That's why I say like I love social media, but I wasn't clout chasing, you know, and you're making great money, you know, from doing what you love.
Yeah.
You know, because like social media has helped to build that. But
I haven't posted a YouTube video in so long that my YouTube channel has demonetized.
oh,
been
same. That happened to me. The YouTube partner thing. Like I got an email from it.
I really want to go back to YouTube, but I just because I want to show people now about event planning. Like it's such a hard, time-consuming job, and especially like during events. Like I think it'd be really cool to show it. I mean, I kind of turn into a completely different person, but it's still really cool at the end of the day to see like a production come to life. So I always tell them all the time, like, I want to record, but then
Why don't
like,
you just hire somebody to film you?
yeah, but that doesn't make
She thought about
sense because I'm not making any money from it right now. So why would I pay somebody to edit my YouTube videos and post them if I'm not even making money from it?
But
So,
everything is a contributing factor, right? Like if you're building an e-com business, right, and you don't know how to build a Shopify store, you're not going to make money from the Shopify store, but you technically are, because that's another form of your product being sold or service being sold, right? So like I look at it as like, okay, if I'm hiring someone to film for my YouTube channel, which, you know, no longer works for me, but like my YouTube channel was demonetized, but I didn't care about that because I looked at it as like, okay, cool. If people are seeing me consistently putting myself out there, like people are still going to come to me to build brands.
Yeah.
Organically so, right? So that $300 or $400 per video, or, you know, and you make 10 videos, you may only get one client, but that, you know, you spent $5,000, and then all of a sudden, like that one client turned into 30,000, you know?
It's the same situation for
Yeah.
our Relay Distro YouTube. Like,
Yeah. We don't make money from it.
Yeah, we don't make money from it, but we've been getting leads from it.
Technically,
so
we
it's,
do make money from it because
So now, yeah.
one of our best clients came from it, you know?
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I'm pushing you to do it because
I mean, I still have to pay bills and all the things. I have to be
Yeah.
an adult.
I'll record you.
No,
Just
I don't
start
need
from it.
somebody to record me. It's just the editing and
Mm.
the posting. So when I was teaching, since I was such on a regimen and schedule, like, you know, I knew that I was going to use the bathroom at like 10:10 when the bell rang. You know what I mean? Like that scheduled.
Yeah.
And I had 2 periods off. So that's when I would edit my YouTube videos, and then I would post them like
Yeah.
during a work day. So,
So you can't schedule an hour
I
a
mean,
week in your schedule right now to edit a video.
Maybe.
You make your own schedule. I don't
I
believe
know.
that you
Maybe.
can do that.
Maybe.
Well, the hard part is like, I think, filming yourself is difficult nowadays because if you're so busy with your
Right.
businesses, you're not going to, I mean, the last thing you want to think about, oh, I forgot to hit record.
Right.
So like that's why I'm saying you should hire someone that is essentially following you around. Like you kind of plan out your schedule already, right? So you say, okay, cool. For these 2 days, I'm going to need this person to come in and film me. And then, we can make a video out of it. Those are important. Like that's what we tell Austin here too, right? Like we miss our recording blocks all the time because we're so damn busy.
Yeah.
But it's like,
Yeah, we're not thinking about, press record and record
yeah,
ourselves.
sometimes we don't think about it, but like, I mean, this is just maybe me just convincing you, but like the importance of just like social media is so overlooked because
Yeah.
like every aspect nowadays is this is your portfolio and
No, I
business
know
card.
that I need to post
Yeah.
more on my like my business page and like
Yeah.
get my business
Yeah.
going, even though I'm busy all the time.
Not
but-
even your business page, but your personal page.
Yeah.
That's your business.
Mhm.
That's
No,
your
it's true.
marketer,
No, for sure.
your platform. But okay, so let's
Yeah,
transition
leading
into business.
into
Yeah,
since
this
we're
would be
talking
great.
about event planning. So, technically, you're an entrepreneur,
No,
You
you're a
own
business owner.
you're a business owner. Why?
Business owner is different from entrepreneur.
What's the difference?
The difference is like take my mom for an example, right?
Entrepreneurs hire people.
Yeah.
Are you saying, you don't plan on growing your
No, I do.
business to hire people under
Oh,
you?
yes, I already.
Yeah.
So we
need
can
to
talk a
hire-
little bit about how you came about.
I also don't consider myself an entrepreneur. I could,
The fitness community has destroyed that word,
right,
right?
right, and
Well,
that's
yeah, I mean, yeah, because
the
people
word
become a coach,
genuine
right?
and the word entrepreneur.
Yeah.
I hate that word.
Genuine. Wow, you're so right though.
I hate that
Holy
word.
shit.
Yeah, people confuse what it actually means to be an entrepreneur. They just think, since I'm a coach, I'm an entrepreneur.
I have a very high level question I want to ask you. So,
And a coach, like, come on.
like with the difference between like a business owner and entrepreneur, business owners, small business owners, even they hire people, right? My mom hires people, whatever it may look like, because some things you really can't do yourself, right? But like business owners try to maximize the dollars kept within the business, the profitability aspect, because it's their livelihood too, right? It pays their bills.
Mhm.
It's their piggy bank, their bankroll, right? Entrepreneurs will take the extra step if they have the ability to say, I'm not going to pull any money out of the business. I'm going to, like Gary Vee says, eat shit for 5 years or whatever it may look like. Now that I feel like you're in two different roles. My perspective, you have Dreyer Events, and then you have like this other company that you're building, which is big, right? Summer Shredding.
Summer shredding.
With Dreyer Events, it's almost like, is it a one-man team?
Right now, yeah.
Okay, so it's a
So
one-man
Summer
team.
Shredding.
So if you plan other events outside, it's all you. Summer Shredding has, you're helping to build this really big company that is multi-event, and then there's 10, 20 different people in the team. How do you think, from a business perspective, if Summer Shredding, like, since it's a different company and you don't necessarily have to, like, it's not your money, how do you think the difference is split between like the decision-making process of like, okay, Dreyer Events is my livelihood, or what X business is my livelihood? How do you think you would spend money differently if it's like your money versus not your business's money? That's a high-level question, I feel like.
You asked me how I
Budgeting perspectives.
Well, so I still use. So the very first year of Summer Shredding,
Mhm.
I did not use my money, of course.
Okay.
But now we just, well,
The company has grown, right? Like,
a little
maybe has
bit.
more-
Yeah. So Summer Shredding is not even a profitable. It's not very
Right.
profitable right now,
Mhm.
because we're still trying to grow and we're
Yeah.
still trying to build our name.
yeah.
Well, you went from 1 to 2 shows to 5 shows.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah,
like
it's a lot.
We were successful when we did 2 shows for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
But now traveling internationally and yeah. Decision making, at the end of the day, if it was my money that I was spending solely on summer shredding, we would stay in Houston only
Okay.
because that is profitable.
Yeah. Yeah.
100%. And there's just so many more resources within Houston that I have. And then looking at it from that point of view for Dreyer events, I don't spend any of my money at the end of the day. It's all the company's money.
Correct. Okay.
So when they hire me,
you're going to contract out. Okay.
Correct. I contract out and I'll pay for something. So I have a business credit card that sometimes I'll use for certain expenses. But then I put that on the invoice and then they pay me and then they'll reimburse me for whatever I spend for their event.
Yeah.
So that's a great thing about event planning is like there's really not a lot of overhead unless I wanted to do event planning like with Jess and we had to buy 200 chairs. We had to buy marquee letters. We have to buy backdrops and then we have to store them. So in a storing facility. So, but all of that money we could get back immediately because event planning is, they charge you $7 to $10 for one fucking chair.
Yeah, that's crazy. I asked this question because I was listening to a podcast the other day about intrapreneurs who work for like Fortune 500 companies, and let's just say they're a high level position, right? And their entire lives haven't had the need to spend their dollars because they get a salary. So whether the company loses money or makes money, it's not their concern. They get paid a salary. They're doing their job the best of their ability, right? Yeah. So a CEO from another company, like a high level position, whatever, who has who's never had any, they've never had a need to spend their dollars. They get a salary, they get a budget from the company. Hey, you can spend whatever dollars.
Do I think that they could go off on their own and start their own business?
Yeah. Yes.
I think it depends on the experience of the person and what they've been given in front of them.
That's why I asked you that question earlier.
I definitely think it's dependent on the person. Like maybe somebody from Google and their CEO, sure, why not? But I don't know the person or how much drive they have or how much initiative they're going to take. Or I think everything comes from initiative, drive, and wanting to succeed. But I don't think that, like, personally, like I tell Derek this all the time, like, I don't think I'm an entrepreneur.
But you're a business owner.
I am a business owner, but I also I don't think the same way Derek does. I don't but if Derek needs help, I will go help him. If he needs me to create something for him, I will create a whole org chart for him. I will sit down and write up rules and guidelines. And I love helping people more than I don't know. And I like to be a leader. So my job right now, it's lonely. Yeah. And I am I think I'm a great leader. Yeah. I think that I can, lead pretty much anybody.
Yeah. You're going to come in and help us with our leadership
training.
Adventure.
Yeah. That's something that excites me to oh, you need leadership training? Yes, absolutely. I'll come in. I love teaching and I love being around people. So I don't really think that I am an entrepreneur because I've never taken something and created an idea. I'm not a visionary kind of person.
Yeah, you're not a visionary.
And gone out.
She's an implementer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the question you just asked her, I think I'm an example of that. Going from a high level position at a company and then starting my own thing. Yeah. I think I'm an example of that.
But it is
it's definitely
there's exceptions to the rule.
Yeah. So the podcast, they said it's difficult for somebody to do that, like a CEO to do that, or
because one of the examples they gave was Spotify, right? Spotify bought out Joe Rogan, right, for $150 million, right, and that return yielded 10x, right, over $1 billion, right, for Spotify. But Spotify also put $1 billion into Obama and Kim Kardashian to start a podcast, just because they were high-level people, they were famous, that they could potentially start this other venture, which is the podcast, and Spotify ended up losing $560 million because they were like, oh, these are famous people. They're, Obama's a president. He's very articulate.
Yeah.
Kim Kardashian can run a show all day long, keeping with the Kardashians, and make it extremely profitable.
Yeah,
but it
she
didn't translate.
Do it. Yeah.
It didn't translate. So that's why I was saying, like, the example they gave was like, you have to see that person in the exact perspective before you can take a risk on them. Like with Joe Rogan, he had an established podcast.
Yeah, it was already going.
He was already going, and they're like, hey, let's dump $150 million to him. It's going to work out. And it did.
Yeah.
But then you had, and that's why I try to make this, it's not an apples to apples comparison, but it's very much correlated.
Mhm.
Like a CEO does hire, a CFO, a CMO, whatever those positions can be under him. But then like when it comes to his own company and he now the money comes out of his own pocket, acts very differently, right? Like you're wearing more hats now, right? Whereas if you're working for a company, there's exceptions to every rule, right? If you're working for another company, it's maybe not your money. You can play with it differently because it doesn't hurt you at the end of the day, right? But then there are exceptions to the rule where, like Derek was a high level position at X company, and then he translated well with relay distribution because now we're growing well, right?
Yeah,
like
I wasn't working for Twitter, bro. What you talking about?
Oh yeah, it's X now, right? That's funny. That's funny.
You can just say it. Yeah, Alpha Lead.
Yeah, Alpha
That was a
Lead.
high level position.
Yeah, high level position at Alpha Lead, and
Yeah, I think it translates to just the person. Like,
Yeah,
how,
makes sense.
I think it's
like if I needed to, have an idea, and if I created some idea or did something, and I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I need to run with it and start
Yeah,
a business.
could
Like
do it.
I could, because I'm not gonna fail. Like at the end of the day, like I won't. Like I will work tooth and nail to be successful. And like
Yeah.
if my name is on it, like I'm gonna work my fucking ass off. Like
So
every
how do you
single
feel?
day.
So how do you feel? Like you're saying I'm not an entrepreneur. I don't have that mindset like you do and stuff like that. So how do you feel about like running your event planning business or owning your event planning business?
No, I love it, but I also like. I don't know. I guess because I'm not. I guess that I'm.
You're
because
one man
somebody's
showing it.
It's-
essentially.
Somebody's hiring me.
Right.
Yes.
Somebody's still
You're
hiring
you're
me.
selling yourself. You're not really like trying to build like a big event planning corporation that like you have.
You trying to stay
100
mom and pop?
employees.
I mean, I'd like to hire like some employees for
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Because, for example, I went to Toronto. I had a show in Toronto and one in Houston at the same time. And so I had to
Dope.
hire somebody to run the day of coordinating while I plan the entire event. So already I need
Dope.
other people to
Okay.
help me. So yeah, I would love that. But I guess event planning is, I don't know. I don't know. I just think event planning, like y'all will hire me to do an event. You tell me exactly what you want, and then I'll go above and beyond and give you some ideas,
Yeah.
bring in other things. I execute the event. I run the production of it, and then, we call it a day.
So you really just base it off of whatever your client's needs are.
Yeah.
So it's like if I need to hire an additional person for this event, then I'll just build it into the budget. So
Mhm.
it's like you don't
Yeah.
really have to build like a business of employees around it. It's very specific to the events that you're kind of doing.
Yeah, and so I still, my brain's still working of like, eventually I want to have a team with me. So I already build them into the initial budget. It's
Mm.
like, I'll
Oh, that
plan
would be
it.
badass. Like I already have a balloon maker. I already have a
Right, and there are companies.
chair team.
There are
or-
companies
yeah.
that are like that. And so right
Yeah.
now I still use the same vendors pretty
Mhm.
much for every event in Houston.
Mhm.
And that's why I love Houston events, because I already have, bartenders. I have
So you pass on
caterers,
this
I have-
cost.
yeah.
Do
and
you
then
mark it up? You should.
No, I don't.
You should
Not right now.
definitely mark it up. Yeah, you should definitely mark it up.
Right, true.
Okay. Well, I mean, from that business perspective, when you say you're trying to grow into like an actual team, do you think so far, with the way you care about your business, because it translates into caring about other people's businesses, do you feel like because you're not operating in the entrepreneur mindset and just in the business owner mindset, do you think that's hurt the growth of your business?
No,
Okay.
I don't think so. Because, I still take ownership of like 100% summer shredding.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I created that baby like from the ground up.
Right.
Like,
Right.
everything from, I send every single email. I post every Instagram post.
But that's what I'm saying though, right? So like if you're because you care so much and going above and beyond, sometimes it may hurt you in terms of like not being able to delegate your work or whatever. Do you feel like that has hurt you?
I think the amount of work that summer shredding is for you has hurt your ability to go.
Yeah,
get
that's what
other
I'm
Other
asking you.
clients,
Do you
yeah.
feel like it's hurt you?
It has hurt.
But that's your
my-
trait too. You know, that's your your caring trait. That's what I'm asking you.
It's yeah, I guess it's hurt me being able to go out and get different clients because my calendar is booked.
Right.
And like I don't have time to do it, but I'm trying to figure it out a little bit. So yeah, that's why I want to hire people.
Gotcha.
I want to hire people for Dreyer events so I can
Maybe like an outside sales.
do. I need an outside.
Yeah, like an
salesperson,
outside
yes.
salesperson.
Yeah, she's not a salesperson.
No.
I think that's
Yeah.
the other thing is
You
she's
can hire
not-
me. I'm fucking
she's-
great at sales.
She's not
No.
actively
But
going
then I'm not
out.
outside sales. I'm
Yeah.
inside.
She's not actively going out searching for other events because
Yeah, like
Yeah,
there's so many
yeah.
events in Houston
Yeah.
that I'd love to go to like give my business card to talk to people. Like
Yeah.
there's event planner events that I just don't have time to go to. So yeah, I mean from that standpoint, I haven't been able to get all different types of clients. Like there are certain like I'd love to do a fundraiser. I'd love to do, but then fundraising takes so much time.
Right.
I'd love to do like a huge expo for, like a holiday expo or something.
Yeah.
Like there's tons of booths everywhere.
Like the Christmas ones.
Yeah. And then just any
Okay.
event that I ever go to, I'm always looking at them from a production standpoint now. Like
That's dope.
Yeah. Always like,
Yeah.
how easy is it to get into the event? What
Yeah.
ticket, like
learning.
app are they using? Looking at the light structures, looking at the fixtures on the walls. Like
Yeah.
just, I never go into an event or even like we went to the Astros game and I was like, oh my God, like look at this huge production. I wonder how many people it takes to run this or run that. So
Yeah.
I'm always like looking at it differently.
It's like when you're involved in that type of business.
Yeah.
And you see that type of service or product being sold, you look at it from like a 30,000 feet in the air perspective. Like, oh, I wonder how many people it really took. Like I look at apparel now very differently.
Yeah.
I'll see a garment and I'll just kind of like break it down. Whereas you're like the event space. And now we're kind of looking at fulfillment centers differently now too. You know,
We
so,
went to SeaWorld a couple weeks ago and I was like, what is that lifeguard doing?
yeah, that's funny.
Why is he not?
At what moment do you feel so obviously like you said earlier, you just went into teaching, you kind of found that coaching and people were your passion. At what point did you realize like event planning was your true ultimate passion?
I don't know.
Was there a specific moment when you were like doing something for the gym, or did you realize that whenever summer shredding was an
I think
idea?
it might have been the first summer shredding.
And yeah, Christian asked you to do that and help with that.
He's like, let's do a bodybuilding show. It's like,
So do you feel like, okay, I know you say you don't operate as an entrepreneur, but let's just call it like that for now. For this comparison, do you feel like because you're event planning and you're growing a business, right? Like whether it's like the corporate side or like the summer shredding, do you feel like you're an intrapreneur? Because when you're involved in coming into a business, you can scale it from the production perspective. Do you feel like you're better at that? Because like Jess is great at intrapreneur. She can't run her own business, like, but you're kind of like a happy medium where that is your business to help these people scale their business perspective.
no, because I'm not helping anybody scale their business, but I could.
Well, scale their business from like, in terms of like
Technically you
the
are.
event perspective is what I'm saying, right?
You're helping scale summer shredding as a business, right?
Correct.
You're not only planning the event, but you're doing the budgeting, you're doing the hiring, you're doing everything. You're doing the emails, the customer support. Like without everything you're doing, the business can't get to the next level of growth.
Well, so let's just say,
Like you're implementing those processes and
Yeah.
procedures in the business.
So-
Right.
She's an implementer.
okay, so let's just not even talk about the summer sharing. Let's just, for example, say you plan the Nutcracker event. And the Nutcracker event is normally, whoever was planning their event, they could only house, 1,000 vendors and 50,000 square feet or whatever. And you come in from an operational perspective and you're like, we're going to be way more organized. We can now operate at 100,000 square foot capacity and 3,000 vendors. Like, that's where an event planning is very necessary, right? So do you feel like that's your strong suit as an intrapreneur, or like the outside perspective of growing Dreyer events from an entrepreneur perspective?
I guess I'm both.
Okay. That's good. Yeah. I feel like you are. That
Because I do, like, I look at
Yeah.
it. So now, like, looking at the events,
uh-huh.
but most of the events, like, so for dry events, I
Mhm.
don't put events on for people right now to make money.
Gotcha.
It's company events.
But kind of makes money though. The company will kind of make money from those events because they're getting new clients or leads.
She's referring to like corporate events for like
Corporate
for
events.
employee appreciation, right? Like events like that
Oh, okay.
don't
Yeah.
really have any return for their.
Okay.
So I mean, events, are all over. So I can do events like that. So I am in talks with somebody that wants to do an oil and gas event that could potentially will make money and bring money in.
Right.
So yes, it is my job to think about how
Mm-hmm.
and how am I going to make this look pretty for Relay Distribution to come and buy a vendor booth at this event that I'm going to plan.
Okay.
So what steps do I need to do to go, A through
Yeah.
Z to put on a selling sheet to give
And then
it
in
away?
turn, that would scale Dreyer events because you can go for as little as a birthday party to a corporate event.
I only do birthday parties for your children.
Yeah, but
Events
you know
for
what
your
I mean.
kids, but
Like
yes.
you can go from
If
like
she wanted to, she
Yeah.
could start taking on all these birthdays,
Yeah.
all these weddings.
the birthday parties are what pay fucking good money. I'll
Yeah.
tell you that. You
But
talking about these?
See, like, but she was saying like there's two different types.
Yeah,
of
yeah,
There's the ones
yeah.
that produce profit, and then there's just like the birthdays, the weddings, the corporate events.
Okay. So what events do you typically like doing? Like the ones that make money, or like just for the company internal?
So, I mean, again, both. Like, I love being able, so let's say summer shredding, I love being able to look at, I guess, the P&Ls and being able to see, like, okay, what were we profitable on? What made the most money? How many tickets did I sell? What was good? How much were they? So I can either, bring the prices down to sell more next year, or do I need to raise the prices? So I think about that. I do
Yeah.
love that. But then I also love planning corporate events, like a corporate holiday party that I don't have to worry about. All I have to do is worry about the company only wants me to spend $50,000. I keep it under budget,
Yeah.
or right at the budget. I've never gone over.
Yeah.
So then I'm also finessing all the vendors, like, okay, well, how much are you going to charge? How much are you going to charge? So
Hopefully we get to that
it's
point.
a lot. So event planning,
$50,000.
I feel
think
I feel like event planning is a lot different than
Yeah.
just running a business of like
Yeah.
trying to make money. So the way that event planning money for Dreyer events, I have to do events to make money.
Yeah. Correct.
So it's not even if the event makes money, I could charge. So there's also a different way that you can charge events.
Percentage.
Yeah, you charge a percent of how much the event cost altogether at the end, or you charge a base rate, or you charge an hourly rate. So it kind of all just depends on the event and what the client is wanting at the end of the day. So for Dreyer events to make money, I have to plan just a fuck ton of events all the time.
Or just a couple really big ones.
Yeah, and I was
Right.
gonna say, I think for you, the blanket answer to the question is you just like to plan big events. You don't
Yes.
like to focus on she doesn't like to focus on the small birthdays
so-
and stuff like that.
Some people, they love doing parties, house parties, and little holiday. I love doing it for us. I love doing it for your family, for my family, people that I love. But at the end of the day, nobody wants to, pay an event planner $1,000, $2,000 to do an event on top of all the vendors that they have to pay for.
Shit is
So
crazy.
that's why.
Some people do.
So
bro.
do you see yourself maybe hiring somebody to do those types of events and like you said, bring all that kind of in-house where you don't have to hire all these vendors, so you have like in-house balloon maker, like the marquee letters, and then you have like a little team that will go do house parties.
Yeah, I would love that eventually. So there are a couple companies that I've looked at that I'm like, damn, this is great.
Yeah.
Just bundle it all together and just give them one set price, and there you go. Like, I could do balloons, but I hate it.
That's how I feel like now that we're coming into relay distribution, and our business is kind of like going into different arms, and we're starting to, like put on a percentage on top or a fee on top because of, we're leveraging our network. I feel like that's something you could do too, to make additional money. Cause like if you just pass on the cost, then, you've done all that work for free. Let's just call it like that. Right. From a business perspective now, like with our, like the people coming into, our group coming in, they're kind of teaching us like, hey, you got to start charging for like every little thing. That's starting to really make sense as to why we would do that. Because in the beginning too, like in the past I was like, no, I'll do it for free. I got you.
I think in the beginning,
So I
though,
do charge.
you have to do that in the beginning.
Do a lot of things for free.
I think it makes sense in
Yeah.
the beginning when you're first starting out. Like you build the relationships.
Correct.
Right? Like
Yeah,
you build
yeah.
the trust factor and the strength, so that you do kind of like you're a little bit more lenient on pricing and stuff like that. But that's in terms. Hopefully, it brings you more in the
Right.
future.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So
too.
I do charge. I don't charge like, okay, if one of my vendors is going to charge $1,000 for something, I give that cost to the company,
Yeah.
but I charge them for my time.
Mm.
So
Oh, okay. So hey, this took me 2 hours or whatever.
I do charge them. So like I look at how much time something would take me. I charge for the day of coordination and like the production of
Nice.
everything, depending on how big the event is. So that's kind of how I base my pricing. So everything that I do, like I charge them a fee
that's good.
for it.
Yeah.
It's kind of
So
like
it's not.
it's like a cost plus model versus what you like to do is you
Right.
have your base fee and then we give
Plus.
them the true cost of the
Right.
garment. She's just giving them the true cost of the vendor and has her base fee.
Yeah.
Instead
Okay.
of
Well, that
going,
makes
like,
sense.
cost plus
Yeah.
on top of it.
Wow, we've never talked about this, I guess, Daniel.
Yeah, it's good to, do this. Because, like, for me, the longest time, like, the way I ran my businesses was, like, either I had partners instead of, like, employees, and then they kind of, like, brought their team to, like, hire out.
Mhm.
Or, a lot of the times, like, I would just do a lot of the stuff myself, too, right? Like, that's why I asked myself, too, as I started growing and, like, started cutting back on, like, where I would allocate my time. It's like, damn, like I can't, now that I have a family, it really pushes me
Yeah.
to my limit. Like I really can't do as much as I thought
Yeah.
because that business is growing. So from that perspective, like with Relay, we're growing into like 5 different arms. Like we really don't have the bandwidth. Like if we're doing photography, it took us 6 hours yesterday, and just growing in every avenue,
I said this yesterday to Austin is like this week was a test of like we're really seeing every arm.
Yeah,
of our
literally every
company
arm.
being like
Utilized.
So it's
Yeah.
like, okay, now we really have to look into hiring more people. in
Yeah,
addition
most
to that.
definitely,
So
bro. Yeah.
going through that test.
Yeah,
right
and
now.
for me, like I don't want to partner like for Dreyer events. Like, 'cause
Yeah.
I mean, okay, so I have one person I think I could bring in as a partner. Well, especially my husband too. But
No.
for me, it goes back to
He's Relay all out.
trusting people. Like
Yeah, that's true too.
at the end of the day, my mom always told me this, like if you want something done right, you have to do it yourself. And like I trust myself only, and I know that like I will always get something done, and no matter what, like even if I don't sleep for 24 hours, like
Yeah.
I'll still get something done. And so partners, I don't think like that's
You
not
know
I
what's
mean, it
for
doesn't
me.
always have to be partner, but I think it's just delegating. Like
Yeah.
Delegating,
that's
I
part
can
of-
delegate.
That's part of business owner, right? Is like, right. If I want something done, I do it myself. But it's like letting go of that mindset and trusting that the people that you hire and
Right.
train are gonna.
I was
do
just
it
about
the
to say
right way.
that. I feel like if you want something done, right, you do it yourself mentality was very last generation. Like our parents' generation where
That's so
you know-
fucking boomer of you to say.
well, I mean,
Oh.
yes and no, right? Like there's exceptions to every rule I always say, but like with that perspective, like they didn't have a choice. Like the last generation groomed a lot of business owners and not a lot of entrepreneur mindsets or a lot of just working class, right? There's nothing wrong with that. But just in the perspective of like now we see things like we were raised in that generation from our parents, but also like the new generation of like delegating stuff and getting things done in an efficient manner. I mean, now there's hundreds of countries that we can delegate tasks to that do things properly. Like one of my friends, like you guys know him, George.
Mhm.
He owned Lux Cases. He told us the other day that the only way that he did $1 million every single month was because no one was like, he wasn't doing anything but marketing. He outsourced every single task. And it took a lot of time, right? A lot of people made mistakes, and Derek's right. Like, part of the belief is like, or part of knowing is that like not everybody is your type A.
Yeah.
And they're only going to be good at that one little thing. You just have to trust in them. They're going to make a lot of mistakes in the beginning too, right? Like, I mean, we do too, but part of knowing is that that's your strength too. It's part of accepting that.
Yeah.
Well, that's where the training and coaching comes in.
Right.
Yeah, that too.
I mean, I can literally sit in a room and figure out who I can shoot the shit with, who I have to be serious with, who I need to make a leader, who I need to, give certain tasks that, like, they can do, or some that can go above and beyond. Like, I love it.
So we can jump into the fourth leg, which is like goals. So we're kind of already talking about that in retrospect. Well, you don't get a break. We're almost done.
Okay.
Yeah, fourth leg.
So I guess we've kind of been talking about it with Dreyer Insight. Like, what is the ultimate goal for that business? And I guess you can kind of include summer shredding in that as well. I guess you can give me goals for both.
Ultimate goals for the business of Dreyer events is, like, I would love a team. Mm-hmm. That's my goal. I want a team that I have a salesperson, that I have somebody that does communication, and then, on the summer shredding side, like, I just need a lot of people. I just need a team, because, like, I can no longer do all of it, because now for the events, I'm finding that, like, I'm forgetting some follow-up, or forgetting, like,
well, for summer shredding, details. You're more than the event planner for that business.
Yeah.
You're essentially
you're part
CEO.
owner.
Yeah.
You're part owner.
Should be.
We're talking about, like, your goals. So you're talking about, having a team. I want to ask you, in terms of, like, events per year, what is your goals per event? If you don't want to share, like, the revenue perspective, you want to share, like, how many events would you love to do a year?
I would love to do one event a month.
Okay.
And that's building a team. So I would have somebody with me to, read all the contracts, to get all the vendors, depending on the event. So yeah, one a month.
Nice.
The size of the event, I think for sure at least a fun event for me is, like, at least 100 people.
Okay.
At minimum.
So 100 people, but, like, for something that would be just financially worth it, it'd probably have to be a big company doing that event. Mm-hmm. It couldn't just be like, planning a house party with 100 people. It'd have to be an actual, like, corporate event type style, correct? So let's be clear, you're not interested in doing any personal events from a business perspective right now.
If it financially makes sense for my time, then yes, I would. But like I said before, like, somebody's birthday party for their 4-year-old that only wants to spend maybe $1,000 for an event. Yeah. They're not going to want to pay me $1,000, $2,000.
So your goal niche is essentially, like, businesses.
Mm-hmm.
Medium to small, medium, and large businesses.
Right, because the first thing I do when I meet with the company, I ask them, like, what their budget is for the event. Mm-hmm. And I'm part of that budget.
Okay, gotcha.
So if it makes sense financially and how much time it's going to take, how many months it's going to take for me to plan the event, then, that's where I'm like, okay, yes.
Yeah.
Or no, it's not worth my time.
Okay. And then before the break, or before the technical difficulty, you said this is not something you can see you doing forever. It's just a forever right now.
I would love, at the end of the day, to be able to plan all different types of events and then have employees, and then they can run.
Yeah, and you can just go on vacation and it's still, alive and kicking. So that's an entrepreneur.
Where are we going?
Baby.
To the beach?
take me to Greece.
Because to be honest,
Take
like
me to the
every
beach.
no one wants to work. Let's just be real.
No,
every-
I've worked so hard since I was 15.
Yeah.
Like, I would work.
You ready to retire?
I'm ready to retire.
When I say no,
No,
one
I'm
wants,
not.
when I say no one wants to work, I mean like people like can come and go as they please. Kind of like what my mentor Jeremy does. Like if he's here, he's working his ass off, but then he can, like his wife would just buy him airplane tickets and be like, "Hey, we're leaving," and he just dips.
Yeah.
That's what I mean by like, hey, no one wants to work, right? Okay, so
I
like,
feel like Ashley would
I
have
can-
a hard time not working though.
yeah,
You're such
I think it's just personality, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we've even talked about it. She's like, I don't know if I could ever truly retire.
No, I'd be bored.
Yeah.
What would I do?
Yeah.
Hang out with me.
That's to be old. To be dormant and like not do shit is to grow old.
Yeah, you got to
Because
keep moving.
age isn't just a number, it's more so like the actions that you're doing. Like Mattress Mac,
But like
the guy who
yeah.
runs what is it, Gallery Furniture, he's like 90. He's still doing commercials, still betting on sports, and
Yeah.
and then I know 80-year-olds that look like Biden.
Gotta stay active.
Like they don't do anything.
Move
but
and be active.
I mean, I could sell my lesson plans, all my teachers.
Oh,
I've
yeah.
never
You
thrown
should
them
do that
away.
now.
I have them all.
What? That's
You
kind
should
of
do that now.
Like
yeah.
all of them on.
Yeah, you should do it
paper.
now while it's
I
relevant.
have boxes of teaching stuff
Yeah.
still.
You should just start you've been looking for something to post on your TikTok. Start doing that, promoting that.
It's a whole nother business. So, okay, leading into that, a goal would you like to have any other business, any other type of business?
I'd love to have some type of like leadership coaching or
So
something
you
like
want to be
that.
a life coach?
I feel like
I'm
leadership
trolling, I'm
coaching
trolling.
is
A
different
leadership.
than life coaching.
Trolling. I'm
Yeah,
trolling.
not a life coach. I'd like to,
Because I
yeah.
literally posted this on Threads today.
oh
That's why.
no,
What?
not a life
About a
coach.
I want to read it.
Oh my god. I'd love
I'm
to.
super unfiltered on Threads,
I'd love to like
Nobody uses threads.
even though it's dead. Yeah.
help companies like with their
Develop their
management
leaders.
and develop their leaders.
So like the traction book, like going and implementing that type
Yeah.
of stuff into companies.
Yeah, I'm really excited to do that here.
Yeah.
I said on Threads, all you fitness coaches that are turning into mindset or life coaches, just stop. How about you change your mindset about scamming people?
Oh my gosh.
I mean, I wouldn't even know like what to life coach. Like, take a deep
Yeah.
breath.
It's like, what is a life coach? Is that like
Go
a
on a
therapist?
run.
Is it like a therapist?
I guess.
Yeah.
Right? So
Doesn't
people are
make
just
sense.
calling them therapists, but IG has recoined that term.
Well, I mean, is that just a mentor?
It's basically a mentor. So you're paying for a mentor, which is in turn not a mentor.
No, you
Yeah.
pay for mentorships.
You don't pay for mentors.
Yeah, you do.
Real life mentors, you don't
Well,
pay for.
I mean, those are like friends.
That's what I'm talking about, though.
Oh.
Like real life mentors, because
Some people
mentors
pay
can
for
be
mentors.
friends. They
Yeah.
grow into this position.
No,
of,
I don't
like,
want to teach anybody like take a
Because
deep breath.
I feel like
and
once you start paying them, then they're essentially just a consultant.
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's what
Mm.
yeah.
yeah, I don't want to.
You don't want to be a breathing coach.
No, and I don't want to like suck it up, Buttercup. Like,
Yeah.
let's do it.
Yeah.
Like, I need people that are already strong-minded and to guide them into being a better leader for the company that
Yeah.
they want to work for. Because there are some shitty fucking leaders out there.
Yeah.
And there's a
People
you know,
just get thrown in.
managers. Like, people think that if they're good at their job,
Yeah.
oh, I can be a manager. But no, like,
It's a different type
Yeah.
of skill set.
so different.
I don't think I'm a good leader. I just think I'm just like, one, I like to do things on my own, and two, it's like I'm like a lone wolf for the longest time. I've kind of been a lone wolf, but now I feel like Motive has really taught me to like, it taught me to, okay, I have business partners that are all type A. Cool. Like, oh, you got this, or
No,
you
it's
got
hard.
this. And it was hard, right? Like,
Mhm.
but it taught us a very
Yeah.
valuable lesson, right? Like, not to really overstep. And that's why I feel like with Relay, we do our stuff so well. Like, I don't overstep in his, and he doesn't overstep in mine. And we just kind of keep our distance. And then, of course, like we have,
Yeah.
joining decisions, but like, that's
yeah, having
hard
a
too.
lot of type A's was difficult for sure.
Fucking hard. Yeah. Because you butt heads.
You
all
were
day.
really great at.
Yeah.
It's
calming
only
the
gonna
room.
get harder as we develop
grow.
more.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And we have more people.
that's what
coming
I'm
into the
afraid
business.
of. Is like, yeah, like, are we gonna have the right leaders, or are we putting the right people in the right
Yeah.
positions? Like, that's a huge thing.
You never
That's the
know.
thing, like, you never know.
Yeah.
You never
It's
know.
like
until
you
you
never
try.
know with leaders. Like,
Yeah.
you have to, and then put them through training
yeah.
and kind of mold them
Yeah.
a replica of you or a
Yeah.
replica of whoever you think is going to be a leader, like they have to
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
just
like
be
a
really great. And like, that's good that you don't think
So-
that you're a leader, like,
Yeah.
because then you don't have to worry about leading somebody in the wrong direction
Yeah.
or like butting heads. Like, you're just like, okay, well,
It's just knowing strengths and weaknesses,
yeah.
right? Like,
No,
Yeah.
no, for sure.
I think that was a flaw too of like my parents, and that's why I learned as I grew wiser. Like my parents were both business owners, but they're not great leaders.
Mm.
They just knew how to build a business and start a business
Yeah.
get shit done.
and get shit done. And that's where I learned. But then now, like being modernized and being around people who are leaders, it taught me to be different, to extract the good from what my parents found, and then like complement my weaknesses with the strengths that I've gained from like you guys.
Yeah.
And it taught me to be better. It's a personality thing too, right? Like knowing what is your actual strength and actually like telling someone, hey, this is not my strong suit.
Yeah.
Like I'm not good at this shit.
Yeah.
Like the tech shit with all the warehouse shit, I'm just like, hey, just let me pack orders.
Yeah, that,
You know,
no, I mean,
You know?
being able to admit that you're not good at something, I think is like such a great quality, because
Yeah.
so many people just like bullshit their way through everything, and
Yeah.
it just, you can see it.
Yeah.
Eventually you can, like you'll be able to, you can only get so far with like
Yeah.
your abilities.
I want to ask you two things
Okay.
before we wrap up, and they're both going to be about advice.
Oh,
Would you ever
okay,
divorce
do you-
them?
Oh my God.
No. I thought you were gonna ask me on a
She ain't
date
gonna
or
leave me.
something.
You need me.
We get the paperwork
I?
filed. We getting the paperwork
Do I?
filed.
What advice would you give us as we're like hiring and developing leaders? Like, what advice in the leadership sense would you have for us?
Ooh. Well, I guess I take this personally because relay is part of my life as well. I think for me, it's so hard to hire somebody straight out of the gate as a leader.
Mm-hmm.
Like hiring somebody
hard,
in
yeah,
a management
yeah.
position, because you
Yeah.
really don't know. Like I said, people will bullshit
Yeah.
in an interview. They'll bullshit in
Mhm.
so many things, and I think that me personally think that you need to hire like interim like leaders and just throw them in
Yeah.
and see how they do and what they do, and if they can even walk into the warehouse and already come up with some type of, oh, I have this idea to do this.
Mhm.
Maybe I can do this. And then it's pretty much watching people.
But
Yeah, that's kind of like that's kind of like my mindset of like, I want all of our employees to work in the warehouse and learn and understand the business. And then you can kind of study their strengths and see what they're good at and kind of like
Because a
mold
good
them from there.
something about being a leader is also being empathetic. And like if you hire somebody that's never worked in a warehouse, they're going to be like, oh, work 50 hours, in the warehouse, so hot. Like,
Yeah.
I don't care. Why aren't you getting this done? It's like, well, it's
I can
fucking
think of
hot.
somebody who
Yeah.
was like that.
Yeah.
So I think like, yeah, bring everybody in, like let them know like, hey,
Yeah.
I want to see how you perform,
Yeah.
and then we will put you in this particular position because they're a reflection of y'all
Yeah.
at the end of the day, no matter what, because if they're going to lead your teams, and if your teams aren't happy, they're not going to produce, they're going to hate it, they're going to quit, and the leaders are
Yeah.
going to be
Like it's so
what?
hard to find good like warehouse managers people, because warehousing it's not a fun job.
oh, I know.
It's also
I
not fun,
cannot
but
get away from it.
yeah,
Yeah.
and the tough part is dealing with the setbacks, right? When you
Yeah.
have to fire someone
Yeah.
who's been in that position for a long time, who you've groomed to be that person. And then that's because our business is growing so fast. Like if we have to slow down and deal with that setback, like we can't,
Mhm.
that's what
Well,
the bad
hopefully-
part about it is,
Hopefully we build
Yeah.
a like step by step of like firing people. So if y'all have to fire people, they should know it's coming.
Right. Give them
It should-
opportunities.
It should
correct?
never be. This has been happening for months and months and months.
and you don't tell
And-
them, and then all of a sudden
Yeah.
you're done.
Right,
Yeah,
you're done.
yeah.
Nobody
you-
should
yeah,
ever
you
be
definitely have
fired
to.
and not know about it,
Right.
and not know why they're being fired, unless, well, even if I was about to say, even if they're stealing, like they know.
Right.
You know
What
what I
if
mean?
he's like fucking someone on the job?
well, they're fired,
Yeah, right away. But you don't give them time to, hey, you're
But they
fucking on
know.
the job.
but they know.
They know why they're getting
They
fired.
know why they're getting fired.
Or maybe
He's
they
talking
know that
about-
people don't know.
I'm
talking
talking
about
about like
performance,
performance. But like if somebody's stealing, they know if they get caught, they're getting fired.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's setting the standard. So we need to put
Correct,
that
yeah.
in the employee handbook. No.
People gotta
I need you
Just
to make
work
me an employee handbook
Okay.
or
in order to.
ChatGPT can make me one.
Yeah. It's
Nobody can what?
never. I'm not even gonna say it.
No, I mean that's my biggest advice. Like even I need to hire an assistant or I need to hire somebody to work with me. And
That was my flaw too. I looked for so many assistants. Remember that day I was telling you?
Yes.
I had like 70 fucking applicants, and then I just didn't hire anyone because I'm like, I don't need an assistant because I could do it myself. That's my
Well-
flaw too.
Well, for me, I'm so like I invest a lot of time. So I've had 2 assistants and I've invested so much time into them.
Yeah.
To like teaching them how I think, my expectations. Like
Yeah.
it takes a really long time. So
does,
you
it
hire
does.
somebody and like you're hiring them as your employee and you still have to train them to do because like initially they're an extension of you. Like they should literally
Yeah, how
sit
they
there
conduct
every day and just be like,
themselves.
what would Ashley say? This is what she would say. Let's do it.
Yeah.
And it just takes so much time. And I don't know. I need to find the time.
Yeah.
It's just hard.
Just don't have
It's hard.
time. You're just really
Yeah.
busy. Just really busy.
Yeah, I think we'll probably eventually need an assistant.
I think
But right now-
Dakota is like who we're grooming someone to kind of be like for now, because we only have, the one person, right?
Yeah.
Who she's kind of doing multiple roles. Like she's like essentially like my right hand man for product development.
Right, and I had a
And-
conversation with
yeah.
them, like, so right now with Dakota, Fernando, and Austin, like, I had a conversation, like, if they haven't I told them if they haven't noticed, like, you guys, like, the directions we're going with manufacturing and warehousing and content, like, y'all are like the people for that right now. Like, y'all are the only people that we're gonna push down these paths. So like, there's an opportunity to become a leader in our company. Like,
Yeah.
Mhm.
you just got to keep believing in what our vision and learning and basically trying to groom them into the leadership position. But yeah, like you're saying, yeah, she's essentially, we want her to lead that manufacturing arm.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and that's why I asked you like advice, because like we're gonna start looking to develop them into these leaders that we need them to be.
Yeah.
Well, it's good that you had the conversation because then,
Mhm.
like I said, you should be able to like maybe not step back, but
Yeah.
observe and see the initiatives that they're taking or like, hey,
Right.
Daniel, I went ahead and organized A to Z because I thought it would be easier for us
Yeah.
to look at when we go through catalogs with manufacturers.
Mm.
Like that's something that, oh shit, like great.
Yeah. Yeah. She's definitely starting to take some initiative. It's just more so like balancing all her work here and then also like
Right now we're all doing a lot.
yeah, and then
Nice.
her just knowing like how I work because I'm very like, I mean,
That's
like
where
I,
you need to be a leader.
yeah, and like me, like I've now finally starting to learn how to like write stuff down, plan it, things like that. It's always been
Just
in my
put
head.
it in your fucking calendar. That does not work. Things in your head.
No,
How many-
just like write stuff down, not just in the calendar, but actually write stuff down.
He's
Like,
been good about calendar stuff because
Yeah.
I think he would start messaging me. I'm like, put it in the calendar. Put it in the calendar.
yeah, I just gotten so fucking busy, like it's just ridiculous. But you had one more question?
Yes. What advice would you give any event planners or aspiring event planners, like whether it's something that's helped you along your journey or just something they need to know
Yeah,
if they're going
I actually do get a lot of messages on Instagram like, how do I start? What do I do?
It's
What do
not
I
for
need?
you.
If people are asking you how to start, then
It's not for them.
Yeah, you got to figure that shit out.
Yeah.
I'm talking now about the beyond of, oh, you need to.
they've
do
already
this to
started
start.
their event planning business and they're stuck.
Right, like
Yeah.
or like any way to help them be better.
So one thing that had like a really aha moment was when I was planning Cookie Fest.
Mm-hmm.
In a small town, we needed to have thousands of people to break this world record. And I was like, how am I going to get these people to come? How am I going to get this small town of people to come in and invest in this for us to break this record? I got to know, I went to every event possible in Panama City.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, every week I was at like 1 or 2 events, and that like opened my eyes to like just networking, just
The power
getting
of
on the ground,
networking.
getting on the ground and fucking going, putting your face to a name. So I became the cookie girl, and I was Ashley, and everybody knew, and everybody saw me, and I was just talking to everybody. And then we went to the Holly Fair or whatever, like talking about it at Holly Fair, and just to every single person, just constantly talking. So if that is my advice, like if you want to be a successful event planner and get your name out there, go to every possible event that you can.
Yeah.
So not just social media.
No,
Face-to-face networking.
because literally, like, people will send me things online and I'll just delete them.
Yeah.
Unless it's an event or unless I've met them, and then I'll open the email and read it, or like they'll call me. But yeah, just getting your face out there. And there are tons of, in Houston, there's events all the time.
Yeah.
Like I have one in my calendar, I think, for tomorrow. And there's also so many organizations that you can be a part of that, you know, they'll send you meetings and you'll go to meetings and you'll network that way. It's just, getting your feet on the ground and just moving.
Houston's a great place for your type of business because Houston is a city for business. Yeah. It's literally that. There's not tourism here. There's none of that. It's just more business focused. So we live in a great city to constantly being able to have events. So if you're an event planner, and you haven't even done that, then you don't deserve to be in this industry, to be honest.
It's a common
theme. You don't have it.
It's a common theme. What you said is a common theme in the podcast, which is humanizing your brand and yourself. So the more human you are, like even on social media, but like yours is more of like your business and putting a face and like getting to know people behind the event.
Well, yeah, building a small relationship or just having a small conversation with somebody goes a lot longer than just DMing and saying like, hey, you look cool. Like,
I love that too. I love relationship building. It's dope. It flourishes. Yeah.
It's important.
Yeah.
That's why I just FaceTime people. I don't call people. I don't like to text. I just FaceTime. It's like the best thing.
At times.
No, it's the best thing all the time.
All right. Well, let's wrap it up. Well, Ashley, we've crossed the finish line, marking the end of the episode. Thank you for joining us today and helping our audience grow their knowledge in the world of business, especially event planning. What are you doing?
Blowing kisses to everybody. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you to all the listeners at home for tuning in. Together, we will sprint towards a purpose-driven future, celebrating the power of business, entrepreneurship, and the transformative impact it can create.